Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to YISAD and EUROMETAL on behalf of Turkish steel producers. Now, as you know, our GDP is uninterruptedly growing, and in normal times, this growth has some supporting some subsectors, and we see this in the production industry. Other than 2019, there is a stable growing. However, unfortunately, our steel industry cannot show its growth in the same stability. Without any doubt, when there is a growth in the manufacturing and with more than increasing of the GDP, and there are times where there are sharp declines. Mr. Ayhan referred to 2008. It was really a very difficult and extraordinary year. Selling for 1,500, they were stating, but in 1 month, they saw that the prices declined to $370, and that there were some 300,000 tons of stocks they had to work with. It was an incredibly difficult period, and getting the balance took a few years. And now, when there is such external factor-based problems we don't have now, in 2021, we had such a beautiful year. Then in 2020, we had problem, and in 2021, as you know, actually, we need to refer to 2020 as well. During the pandemic, there were regression, but only 5 country growth: China, Russia, Iran, Vietnam, and Turkey among them. And we growth well by 6%. And in 2020, we continued this growth. The other countries were like in a very tiny steps. In 2020, this Russian and Ukraine conflict and increasing energy prices, then we knelt down. Our export declined 50%. First time in the history, our production declined by 30%, and in the partially we made 13% to save the day with 12.9%. And when we look at the world, Mr. Ayhan showed a different graph. In the world, there is a sustainable growth, and it is because of China. So there is Istanbul in the recent times. For 20 years, it was a growth, but in the recent time, there is a stumbling also in China. Turkey is in ninth. However, 44% of decline in production in January than in February because of the earthquake, 75% decline in the production, and 50% decline in March. So it was affected in our stumbling. Actually, we were in top 10 by February. Now we are ninth, and the next month we will be like 8th or 7th. We will have this upwards increase. Now in the world steel industry, in the recent days, in 2017, there is 300 million tons of an excessive capacity. While we were talking about it, and as of the years, we see that it is increasing, and in 2022, it is 502 million of tons. And in recent years, we were afraid of this capacity. However, in time, we've seen that this excessive capacity are not always showing the situation exactly. In Turkey, we have a 55 million tons of a capacity. However, in some of the long-term manufacturing institutions, the capacity is, for example, they say 15 million, but for 15 years, they only manufacture for 500 tons and or 25% of capacity working some other industries. And there are some sectors who just shut down. So actually, it's not well described excessive capacities. We should not be scared of this. And another situation has just yet added up. Yes, there is some works around the world regarding the green agreement, especially integrated facilities. There will be a transformation. Some part of this excessive capacities will be shut down during this transformation. There will be new capacities. So a highly excessive capacity will not be created. For OECD in the global forum, there is a workshop in steel excess capacity, and it shows that in the steel industry, there won't be any more state incentive. That's the trend in the world. And starting from 1996, there is no state aid. So they are making negative discrimination. There are similar developments. So, and in Turkey as well, there is a similar situation. And when we look at to the manufacture of Turkey, it was 40.4 million soft ton in 2021. In 2022, due to the reasons I mentioned, the energy prices and Russian-Ukraine war, due to this conflict, it is 35.1 million soft tons. And this 35.1 million tons means it is less than 2017, which is you go along the way. I'm not sure how to translate this, but you go along for 6 years and then you are behind the 2016. So it's like a dreamland we are living in. However, Mr. Ayhan has an inspiring saying. It's the motto of Turkish special forces. We do the impossible and miracle gets time. We work like the special op as an industry. So in our facility, we perform the impossible and miracle gets time. And it is a convincing saying. In the upcoming years, we can have such developments and we will see it as we live. Actually, even this year, we can see it. And now, especially in the first 3 months, I would like to take your attention. There is a 21.3% of loss, and in the previous year, the growth loss in the previous year is 10.3, and it should be cumulative. When you add up, is 26.2% of decline. It's an extraordinary decline, and as of March of this year, it will stop, and starting from the next month, it will get better, we can say. Actually, there is still a reduction. However, there is this thing. When compared with February, we have a good development. Therefore, when we compare it to the February, our production is lesser than that and more than 20% of increase when compared with last year. There is only 18.5% decline, and as cumulative, it's 21.45% of decline. And as of March, we have improved and by compensating this negative effect, and in April, we believe it will be better. we will remove the negative effect of stopping of the Veysel, and as of May, we will make it much better. Starting from May, the Tosyalı Group will initiate their facilities, and also having MMG, we will have good impacts. As a total, Mr. Ayhan said we can make this half of the 8 million tons from Turkey. And I want to say more, we can make it more from Turkey. So I'm in a much more positive feeling, and there are some advantages by the export. I know it and I accept it. And while talking with Mr. Typhoon the previous day, we said that the export always have taming effect. However, yes, that's the case. But after a certain time, the export for 2 or 3 months of logistics brings serious risks. And what is more important, to be shoulder to shoulder and to create a value of chain. And I believe the developments will be accordingly. This excessive capacity will be much more in the flat products in the few years. I believe they will be over in 2-3 years. And the steel production capacity in Turkey, there is a 70% increase of capacity, and it is seen until 2011, and then it's more than 80% of capacity. In the previous year, in 2021, it was approximately 2000, it was 75%, and it was a really positive development. And this interest practices changed our chemistry, and then we couldn't make it up afterwards. And then we had some external factors, and because of their energy price changes, so we had a very negative picture afterwards. So within this perspective, it is easy to make reduction in export, but it is not easy to make it like before. Similarly, there is this production issue, but you cannot make it up easily. And if you pay attention to the figures here, 53% capacity usage. So it was 70%, and now it's 50%. So this is very disturbing actually, but as I said, the March figures are promising, and April will be much more encouraging, and starting from May we will start running. But there is this thing, we have a worldwide shrinking in demand. It's not EU or US restrictions. In other countries as well, there is a demand restriction, and it brings a problem starting from the July. That can be a negative thing. Actually, Europe and America are not comprising at all in this restrictive measures. It's not their tendency, because EU in 2 tables, they have in their pockets as few scenario. If one of them is over to start the other, they are working on protective measures. No one talks about fair trade. How we can make it ourselves. The trend is going there. So if you're gonna look forward, we have an opportunity, 32.5 million soft tons of consumption, and we don't use it as well. And actually, by inspiring in layers, maybe as a development, how the US or other countries do. In Turkey, there will be similar developments, and everyone is giving tendency for their own internal market and do their production accordingly. And now we see it's going this way, and most possibly in the upcoming years, we will continue to live this. As I said, Turkey's final production numbers, it's 31.5 million, and as I said, in 2015, it was 34 millions of tons, but now, 6 years after, 32.5 millions of tons. However, we should stress that this is not because our industry stagnated, but the construction industry for the last 5 years. But this year, because of a disaster, there has been an increase in the south. We are talking about 600,000 buildings. We are not sure how much they can, but as a matter of fact, there is a gap. And in the north, for many years, they were talking in Istanbul. 20 years ago, there were some buildings which were found to be risky, but they couldn't replace them. But now, due to that disaster, our new policy, whatever government comes, they want to renew this block of buildings, and they will replace the risky ones, and there will be, they won't let people to reject it, so it will help the economy and especially the steel industry in certain amounts it will contribute to. And now, when you consider the manufacturing, it is 2 million tons more when compared to raw steel, and even as low as the export or production in Turkey, our import is going, and there will be some regulations next year. The only good about it is when the internal raw steel production is not enough, still the finished good production is increasing 13.3 millions of tons. And our consumption 32.5 millions of tons. And despite there isn't a big loss, the production is still in loss, shows that the gap is closed by the import export in the recent years continued in a lively manner. And when we look at the share of the import in the flat steel, now it's 49% in level. And during the OECD meeting, the European representatives, they said this way, I have heard this. Within our internal consumption, the share of the import was 19%, and this year, unacceptable levels, it is 21%, and that level which is unacceptable, now it is 2.5 times more. So actually, we learned the free market mechanism late. So we acted with laissez-faire understanding, but it won't continue like this as we believe. And now Turkey's this flat steel production, when you look at the ranking from Russia, China, South Korea, from Japan to Indonesia, and from Taiwan, we are importing, but we don't make steel export, so it's like a gift to them. But with other countries, we are more in balance, and that balanced cooperation turns to be in favor of EU in the recent years. Now the total foreign trade, still foreign trade of Turkey, the import is getting less, but then they become even. But I want to pay attention. In 2023, our export in the last 2 years was 2.10 million and export only 1.4 million soft tons. So the ratio of them to make it even is now reduced to 50%. That's so sad. When we look at the European Union, it's not any different. These figures, this empty place, until 1990s it was going, and we were having a gap of 20 tons. And in 2018, when EU made this protection, we went to European and said for 20 years, this export is less than our import in 1 year. Why it become like this? Why you are reacting? This shouldn't be like this because we are your partners. They answered us like this. We are looking to future. Let's not talk about the past. What happens in the past happened. If you were unhappy, you should show reaction as well. Of course, not word by word, but this is how they mean. In today's world, we gave a little bit more to you. This excess is getting less. And in 2023, our export in while 300 million soft tons, and I'm sorry, yes, I was trying to show this. Our foreign trade with EU in a manner to make them happy as well is now negative. Hopefully, in the next discussions, they should pay attention to this gap in negative for us and those archaic quotations, and they should be returned back because it doesn't reflect the current station of the world. Yes, let's look at the US. More than 2 million soft tons of export, and now we are happy when it is 500 tons. And in the first 2 months, it is 43 tons, which is a neglectable level. Therefore, to be honest, making export to Europe and US requires an effort more than miracle, but we should not be hopeless because we can succeed impossible and a miracle. The level of balancing the import and export as of 2 months of this year, it's reduced until 53.5%. And in March and April, there is an incredible amount of flat product entrance, so that with this we can make it lesser. When we look at the current station, there is the 2021 figures. We are the sixth biggest steel exporters, and we think it will be 8 to 9, and in 2023 it might be worse. But on the contrary, our importer position is getting strong, but going further is not easy. We are fifth in importer. Either we will be here or go for more. So as a result, Turkey, as of 2021, with that incredible high performance, in 2022, first due to external factors, and then some of the Minister of Energy is an increase in the steel industry as the highest energy. So it has been a very bad year. Had to retrieve from the export markets, and domestically we had trouble to get, and after 2022 this improvement in the energy prices are still over the European Union, and it provides a partial contribution for better competition. In addition to our manufacturing industry, the construction sector will continue in the second half of the year. As you know, the election mood is tough in our country, and as far as I remember, in my last 55 year, I remember this is the toughest election mood, and always one-sided promises. A former president said, I will pay you 5,000 liras more, whatever they promise. But after this elections in the treasury, whether there will be some sources or the investment should continue, the investment in earthquake zone or in the north, I believe it will help all the industry. And as for the capacities, both Turkey and we can answer the surrounding countries, and so it is nearly 1.5 million times of more. So in better condition, we will make our meetings, and we won't be. So with this expectation, thank you for listening to me. I would like to thank you all. If you have questions, I'm ready to answer them. I will get questions. Can I get the microphone? Thank you, Mr. Veysel. There is no conference without you. Thank you for your effort. I have only one recommendation, not a question. While we talk about this capacity usage, maybe we need to separate flat or and long. Where are we in capacity usage in flat or long? I believe it will be more solid. We lose many things. Whether we use the long or flat capacity, maybe we need to detail these figures. In the flat, we are more than 70%, and in the long, less than 60%, and we are not using that capacity, I would like to say. However, yes, I'm taking my note, and in the next meetings, just like in the flat, we gave the capacity usage, so it will be more clear. But we cannot use the capacity because, you know, they couldn't work until short time. So usage of the capacity as of now is nearly 80% in the flat production, and it will reflect good on the markets, as I believe. Thank you. Any other question? I can have a question. You know, in the recent times, there is an important trend. We shall give up this globalization, and there is this important topics of climate changes and green transformation is important. you said there is a trend of not showing a lot of incentives, as I remember. But here, if I don't know wrong, there are serious support regarding the green agreement. We have some restriction. Is there any hope, any development? You are making meetings. What is the final situation? Actually, thank you for this question. I had in my mind to touch upon this because Mr. Typhoon, with his question, the discussions opened, it is necessary to answer correctly. So, us being in the Europe will make faster steps for green development. Of course, Europe, while putting some obstacles, they are not acting rough like US. They act on with rationals like protecting the environment. So they are making these explanations. And now, if we go on the against them and we cannot be like a third world country, definitely we should be acting together with Europe. We criticize them and we have some correct points, but we are a part of Europe as a geography, as culture, and regarding the climate change, regarding the green transformation, we are also a part of them. We need to do this, and the bureaucracy is changing. There are some investment for green transformation, and some we also wanted, and we are aware of that. But due to our agreement with Europe, we cannot support them. And the European Unions provide millions of dollars support. Recently, 2 weeks ago, we made a meeting, millions of support. So you are right. We will talk this with the Commission. If they cannot answer us fastly, we will take the necessary steps. So the European Union, they are doing right, by the way. If you want the green transformation, you cannot say to the institution, you do this, but I don't care about it. So do this, and if necessary for finance, we will loan you or grant you. Somehow we will support you. They should be saying this, and this is normal, but us still, we see it, but when we say we couldn't yet get permission like the teacher, I believe this is not proper in our position. There is no more important thing than adapting to green transformation in the future. They won't be saying we understand you. For us to realize the green development, if you understand wrong, that's your problem, they will say. Therefore, we are going in a direction, and definitely we should do it, and the state should do whatever it is. And as it says, there is the miracle gets time. If you can make this transformation, we will be in much more balance. So the European Union requires a partner like Turkey, because when we look at their relation, some of their products in their stocks, they immediately send to Turkey, and when they need, they immediately, it takes in a meeting, I said to European Union participants, when you do such things, they will protect their own steel industry. But when we look at the results, Russian, Ukraine, China, and India, so while they discriminate us, what is the profit of supporting them? They cannot say even one thing. you take us out, but if you use your own capacity more, so at one point it is understandable. But leaving us outside from Russia, or so you are making sanctions. These are not fitting. We want to get together with European Union. So this is not a real partnership. We want a real one. And in the upcoming years, we believe in many issues we should be partners. And hopefully in the upcoming periods, we will be taking necessary steps. And hopefully, Mr. Ur, can we get the microphone, please? Like Mr. Mehmet, I will not ask a question, but I will make my own remark. And good morning again. Mr. Veysel says unstable, but I believe why Europe is importing from Russia, etc., for temporary, but they have a longer term program. This green transformation seems to be for benefit of the humankind, but it is the first step of the new era. And until Europe makes that transformation, they got what they need. But actually, when you look at Turkey, they are the biggest rival. And let's make something clear. For years, we say we cannot get incentive because that law actually does not prevent, just define clearly the mechanism and set the fields. There are 4 fields. This is capacity, R&D, environment. And in the environment, after you make the standard, if you're going to do something else, I will also contribute. And what is the method? You do your business plan and project and submit to the European Commission. If it is accepted, then you can get the state aid. And the same way with the Turkey have the right to apply this. And this is since the beginning. And the ones which are prohibited are direct investment. If Turkey will go along and apply the same method, and then 3 days later, the European will make an excuse of it and will apply some additional taxes. So my personal opinion is that among the AKCG, after setting the rules the same way, Turkish steel industry under the green transformation can be easily incentivized. Actually, it is against the investments and it is clearly against, but as they comment on as they want, we should pay attention from the beginning. Thank you. I want to comment on the comment. What Mr. Uğur says is right on the paper. In EU, there is this mechanism, and in the 2000 years, for new restructure of the Turkish steel industry, we asked 5 years with European Union for reconstruction. We asked 5 years. They said, okay, all the institutions accepted. And within 1 year, they said, we will handle. They just took an X-ray, and afterwards they went. We sent the reports and they said, these are the lacking parts. Then we submitted again and again. They always found mistakes. And in 2009, since then, still we don't have anything. So European Union, if they see us as a rival, then it is impossible to ask to do anything. So you are trying to make to work depending on an existing goodwills. So if that's the case, all the ARC-based facilities you should support. So categorically, you should remove those obstacles. However, when it comes to us, if we are subjected to approval, if we wait for our rivals to approve us, that system wouldn't work. Yes, we are aware of this, they said, and somehow from the Europeans, even they don't respect us, they should be respecting the text they have signed themselves and do what they must do. In time, we will ask this more, but of course, what they want is the issues regarding this Green Deal should be performed, and we are sincere about it. Our time is getting low, so in the shortest time, in the level of the government, we should do whatever is needed for the investment. That's what I understand. Yes, you're right. Thank you. Any other question? One more question. One last question. Can we get the microphone? Yes, please, Ms. Asuman. I couldn't see. I'm sorry. It's not a question, but a conclusion of last day meeting. There was a meeting in 19th of April regarding the state institutions, and what was the result when all the relevant authorities called? They said it was very positive, and the Minister of Industry is in the lead, and there will be some regulation change. Then they will share, especially energy efficiency, and the Ministry of Trade is making work on that so that they will be helping the companies for investing, not the cash money, but yet not clear something. But that meeting was positive, so there will be new regulations and regarding energy and environment, and but we couldn't use it until today. I just wanted to share this. Thank you. Any question? Let me get the final question and then finish. Hello. First of all, thank you, Mr. Veysel, for your support. My question was import taxes. I believe families should be protected. Thank you for protecting producers, but these. So, do you believe the balance is right, or will there be a new regulation, or what is your? I believe there can be a regulation about it. Mr. Yayan also mentioned his expectation. So, as of essence, the values produced by this country, we need to use them rationally, like Mr. Ayhan mentioned. I only visited them once, 10 to 15 years ago. It was in the starting. I was very proud of their position. They are our proud. And in 95 countries, we are very happy for them to export. So all kind of steps for protecting them is a must for us. Thank you. Thank you.